Hello, fifth graders. This is Eureka Math. We are in Module 6. This is Lesson 3, and we're continuing our work with coordinate planes, and we're using coordinate pairs to plot points. Now, we used coordinate pairs in Lesson 2, but we didn't call them that. We just called them coordinates. So we're going to keep working on these skills today. Please go to your Learn pages, write your name. And number 1, we're going to go right to our grid. Okay, so here's our grid, and there's no numbers there, so let's see what's going to happen here. Use the grid below to complete the following tasks. First, we're going to construct an x-axis that passes through points A and B. So let's find A and B. Oh good, they're on the same line. So this is going to be our x. Ooh, my line is not straight. Let me try harder. Oh, it's terrible. It's terrible. Stay in the lines. There we go. I'm super concentrating right now. Okay, so I'm going to put a little arrow here because that line keeps going. And this is our x-axis. Okay, now construct a perpendicular y-axis that passes through points C and F. C and F. Okay, so I'm going to make this line go all the way over here. Clearly we weren't done with it. A is not the origin. C and F is here. Okay, so we're just going to start a little bit above it. And it's a perpendicular line, so it has to have a 90-degree angle with our x-axis. Oh my gosh, my drawing skills today. Not the greatest at this digital pen. I really do need to practice some more. Probably because my eyes are on the screen and my hand is beside me. Okay, so there's our perpendicular line. Okay, and I'm going to put an arrow there. And you can see here's my 90-degree angle. Ooh, again, terrible drawing today. Right there's my 90-degree angle, 90 degrees. So it's a perpendicular line. And we're calling this the y-axis. Okay, so, all right, construct an x-axis that points through A and B. Construct a perpendicular y-axis that passes through points C and F. Good, we did that. Label the origin as 0. Okay, so this is the origin, where they meet, and we're calling that 0. Okay. The x-coordinate of B is 5 2/3. So let's find B. Where is B? This is B. 5 2/3. Okay. So I don't know how many little grid points are in there, but we do know that this line right here is 5 2/3. Okay. The y-coordinate of C is 5 1/3. So there's C, 5 1/3. Okay. Label the whole numbers along the x-axis. Label the whole numbers along the y-axis. Okay. So let's see. Let's figure out how many are in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nope. Okay, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So we're going to divide 5 2/3 divided by 17. That's going to tell us how much each of those little angles is, or each of those little spots, right? And in order to do that, we're going to have to go 3 times 5 is 15, 16, 17 thirds. And then we're going to multiply that here. And we're going to switch this, and we're going to make this 1/17, which equals 17 over, what's 17 times 3? be 1. Which is sort of helpful because we can divide this number by 17 and get 1. And we can divide this number by 17 and get 3. So each of these little marks is 1/3. And I kind of suspected because they've already given us this 2/3. So let's see. We can count from 0, and we can go 1/3, 2/3, 3/3. That would be 1. And then 1/3, 2/3, 3/3. That's 2. 1/3, 2/3, 3/3. That's 3. 1/3, 2/3, 3/3. That's 4. 1/3, 2/3, 3/3. That's 5. And then 1/3, 2/3. 5 and 2/3. Okay, good. We've labeled our whole numbers. So that's 5. That's 4. That's 3. That's 2. That's 1. Okay. Now for the y-axis, let's just double check our work. If that's 5 and 1/3, so let's count how many go from 0 to 1/3. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And I already know that 16 into 16/3 would be 1/3. Right? So I can figure it out the same way. So this is 1, and this is 2, and this is 3. Okay, and a 3 more is 4. 1, 2, 3. There's 5, and then 1 more would be 1/3. Okay, great. So label the whole numbers using the x-axis. We labeled all of them and all of the whole numbers on the y-axis as well. Okay. All right. Now let's see. Actually, we could label one more right here. We could label this one 6. And I bet we could label more over here too. 1/3, 2/3, 3/3 would be 6 right here. Right? Okay. Good. For the following problems, consider the points A through N on the previous page. So we're going to be flipping back and forth. That's okay. Identify all the points that have an x coordinate of 3 and 1/3. X coordinate of 3 and 1/3. So I'm going to find 3 and 1/3, which would be right here. 3 and 1/3. And now I'm going to find all of the points that have an x coordinate of 3 and 1/3. Well, I can see right there that J, you know what, I'm going to switch colors here. Let's try this. So 3 and 1/3, there's J. Let's see if there's any more. Oh. I. H. And looks like there's one more. D. Okay. Okay, identify all the points that have a y coordinate of 2 and 2/3. Okay. 2 and 2/3, so that would be 2 and 1/3, 2 and 2/3, 2 and 2/3, just like this is 3 and 1/3. And then I'm going to draw my line across here. There's the F and an E, and H again, and K. So F, E, H, K. Great. Which point is 3.5 units above the x-axis? So that would make it a y, right? So this would be a y coordinate. And 2 and 2/3 units to the right of the y-axis, that would make it an x coordinate. Name the point and give its coordinate pair. Okay, so you have to read carefully here. If it's to the right of the y-axis, that makes it an x-coordinate. So that would be 2 2/3. And the y-coordinate, right here, would be 3 1/3. I need you to read that carefully. Which point is 3 1/3 units above the x-axis? Okay, so if we're counting above, that means it's actually a y-coordinate. And if we're saying to the right, that makes it an x-coordinate. Okay, so 2 2/3 is the x, and 3 1/3 is y. So now we just have to go up and find it. 2 2/3 and 3 1/3. Okay, so 2 2/3 is this line. Okay. And 3 1/3 would be this line. So if I follow that across and this down, I get G. Okay. There we go. So the point is G, and the coordinate pair is 2 2/3 and 3 1/3. Okay. Which point is located 5 1/3 units from the y-axis? 5 1/3 units, so that means the x is 5 1/3. So let's see. 5 1/3 would be this line here. And basically they're asking for any point on that line. And there's only one, and it is K. Okay, point K. Which point is located 1 2/3 units along the x-axis? So that's our y. Wait a minute, which point is located along? Ooh, be careful, along. That means it's an x. I was convinced that they were going to give you a y, and I was guessing. 1 2/3 units along the x-axis. So if it's on the x-axis, right, it's 1 2/3. So 1 1/3, 2/3, 1 2/3. And the only point I see along that line is M, right? Be careful, they were kind of trying to trick us on that. Okay, give the coordinate pair for each of the following points. Remember, coordinate pairs give the x-axis first, and then the y-axis. So x and then y, always. Separated by a comma inside parentheses. So where's K? Let's find K. K is here, so the x-axis is 5 1/3. And the y is here, it's 2 2/3. Maybe you can write a little smaller than I can. I, where's I? I is here, so that's 3 1/3 and 1 2/3. 3 1/3 and 1 2/3. What was it? 1 2/3. Okay. It's probably easier for you because you can just look from page to page and I have to scroll up and down. Okay, B. Where's B? Oh, way over here. B's at 5 2/3 and 0. And C, which is here, and that's at 0 and 5 1/3. Remember X first. Name the points located at the following coordinates: 1 2/3 and 2/3. Okay, 1 2/3 is here, and 2/3 is here, and that's M. 0 and 2 2/3 0 is here, and 2 2/3 is there. That's F. 1 and 0. Okay. 1 and 0, A. 2 and 5 2 2/3. Okay, so X is 2 and 5 2/3 would be right here, and that's N. Which point has equal X and Y coordinate? Okay, equal X and Y coordinates. So in order to have equal X and Y coordinates, it would have to be 1 and 1, or 2 and 2, or 3 and 3, or 4 and 4, or 5 and 5. There it is. Okay. Do you see here what I've created? Ooh, terrible. Let's try again. Do you see what I created there? I created a straight line because the X and the Y coordinates were identical. Okay? So any point along that line would be our answer. If there was more than one, we'd have to give more than one, right? But there isn't, it's just L. Oh, what was that? 2 and 5/3. It must have erased because I know we did it. 2 and 5/3 was 2 and 5 2/3 was N. Give the coordinates for the intersection of the two axes. So the intersection is where they touch. Okay, and I don't think that's going to be too difficult for you because where do they touch? We created them. There's a perpendicular line where they touch right here. The coordinates for that would be 0 and 0, right? Because that's 0 and that's 0. So, and another name for this point on the plane is the origin. Good. Plot the following points. Are we okay with green or should I try another color? I feel like this coordinate plane is definitely getting a workout today. Okay, 4 and 1/3 and 4. And it's called, what letter is it? It's letter P. 4 and 1/3 and 4. 4 and 1/3 and 4, which is right there. There's 4. Do you see it? Okay. Now what letter are we calling that? I see my memory's so terrible I can't even remember that one. P. We're calling that letter P. Okay. So please label it. Label letter P. Next one. 1/3 and 6. Okay, so on the x-axis it's 1/3, which is right here, and 6. Good thing I labeled all the way up there. Okay, there's the point, and what are we calling it? We're calling it Q. Okay, next one. 4 and 2/3 and 1. 4 and 2/3, which would be here. 4 and 2/3 and 1, which is right there. Okay, do you see that 1, 1 all the way across? And we're calling that QR. Is that R? Yep, R. And finally, the last one, 0 and 1 and 2/3. Okay, so 0 is here, and 1 and 2/3 would be right there. And we are calling that one S. Okay, there we go, S. Cool. I like coordinate planes. I do like this. What is the difference between E and H? or EH. Okay, so that's a line, right? So we usually put the line symbol above it. EH, what is the distance between E and H? So E is here, and H is here, and we want to find the distance between here. So we could count 1/3, 2/3, 3/3. That's 1. 1/3, 2/3, 3/3. That's 2. 1/3, 2/3. So 2 and 2/3. Okay, 2 and 2/3. So our line EH equals 2 and 2/3. Or I could do subtraction, and ooh, my battery's going. I better wrap this up. Or I could do some subtraction, which would be here. This is H is on line 3 and 1/3. And E is on line 2/3. So I could have just subtracted. And that would give me 2 and 2/3. Okay, so this is the x coordinate for this, and that's the x coordinate for that, for E and for H. Okay. That was E and that one was H. All right, but I also just skip counted, it was fine. All right, so just this last little bit here. I better make it fast before my computer shuts down. What is the length of HD? HD is from here to here, but again, each of these is 1/3. So 1/3, 2/3, 3/3, 4/3, 5/3, 6/3, 7/3. Okay, so that's 7/3, or I could call that 2 and 1/3. Would the length of ED be greater or less than EH plus HD? Oh, okay. EH plus HD, let's find that. So we just said EH was 2 and 2/3, and HD is 2 and 1/3, so 2 and 2/3 plus 2 and 1/3 equals 3, 4, wait a minute, 5, right? And then we want to find ED, what's ED? So we want to know if it's greater than or less than HD. And so we figured out that, ED and HD, because we just used our answers from the other two. And ED is where? ED is right here. Ooh, we just made a triangle. Oh, my pen. Okay, well, how are we going to figure that out there? Is that bigger than ED and HD? No, this plus this is definitely going to be bigger than that, isn't it? Yep, because if we laid this one, I'm showing you with my hands. If I laid this one down flat and I laid these two down flat, they would be bigger. We don't actually have to do the measurement. But I can say that ED would be less than EH plus HD. Ooh, they're getting into some non-fifth grade math. I like it. Okay, so less than. Jack was absent when the teacher explained how to describe the location of a point on the coordinate plane. Explain it to him using point J. Okay, so that is at 3 and 1/3, And where was it? It was at 1/3 on the y-axis. Oop, did I go too far? Yes, 1/3. Okay. So now we need to explain to Jack how to find that point. Okay. So the coordinates show the distance, this pen, from the origin on both the x, oh my goodness, I have to write slower, and y axis. Axis is axes, okay? Point you know what, maybe it's not working so well because the battery's dying. Point J is 3 1/3 units. We don't know if it's inches or centimeters, or it doesn't matter. From the y-axis, and 1/3 units from the x-axis. Okay? So, well, hopefully that would explain it to Jack. If you have a better way of writing that, please do. Okay? And your Lesson 3 homework is there, and your Lesson 3 exit ticket, which is some more plotting. Okay? So, good luck. Have a great day. I better finish this video before my computer dies, and I'll see you soon.